Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We have a very special guest today, which is the new Precinct for Commissioner Lesley Briones, and someone I'm very much looking forward to working with and for. And I thought you all might like to get to know her a little bit, and she was generous enough to join us. So, if you don't mind, why don't we start with where you grew up? What was it like, and sort of how did that influence who you became?
Sure. Well, first of all, Mr. Berry, thank you for inviting me. And
Absolutely.
thank you to everyone who's watching. I'm so grateful to be back on the Harris County team. I am from South Texas, so I was born and raised in Laredo, right on the US-Mexico border. I'm the daughter of teachers, which really helped shape who I am because service was everything in my family, as was education. And my parents always emphasized you should use the talents and opportunities that you've been given to serve others. And so I carry a deep respect for the rule of law, given that I grew up on the border, and this spirit of public service, which was everything in my family.
And as we've gotten to know each other a little bit, I've heard you mention a few other experiences that really shaped who you are and how you approach your job. And one of them, as you mentioned, was it sounds like your parents were teachers, and you were too, if I remember right, for a little period of time.
Yes, I taught 8th and 10th grade.
So how did that affect your career and your outlook to the world?
So I had always wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little girl, and
Okay.
I was a teacher between college and law school. I went back to South Texas to the border, and I think teaching's in my blood because I'm the daughter of teachers. I still teach at U of H, Law Center. I really love teaching. But being in that classroom made me, as much as I loved it, and I miss it, it made me want to be a lawyer even more because I saw that so many of my students were involved in the juvenile justice system. They had challenges with the immigration system, the education system, the child welfare system. All these systems were disserving my students. And I thought at the end of the day, you have to change the laws and make sure the laws are fairly and equitably applied. Right. And so it made me want to be a lawyer even more because I thought I could really address the systemic level issues. So then I went back up east to law school, and then I fell in love with Houston and moved here in 2007.
Fantastic. And interestingly, I was here with Chief Lee, who's now the Chief Deputy at the Sheriff's Office, a few weeks ago. And we're talking about public school teachers and cops. And one of the things we were discussing is how public school teachers are asked to solve all sorts of problems, right? And some of them you mentioned. Chief Lee was mentioning he felt sworn police officers is often the same way, right? All sorts of problems are thrown their way. And we were talking about the HEART program in that light. So I know another experience you mentioned to me was being a chief talent officer for a while. And you shared some thoughts with me on the team you're trying to build, both in your office and at the county. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I'll just rewind slightly if it's okay. So when I moved to Houston, I worked at a law firm a few blocks away. I was a lawyer, still am a lawyer. And then after about 4 years, I went to go work at this national nonprofit. And I got to be the general counsel, the chief operations officer, and the chief talent officer. And so much, and I know we're going to talk about our first court meeting from yesterday, but so much of my perspective was shaped working with this national nonprofit because we were a grant maker. So we had to find the most effective and or the most promising nonprofits, governmental entities, research institutions, and universities that we could partner with. So how can we use philanthropic money as leverage to drive social change and social impact, working in the criminal justice space, healthcare, et cetera. So as the COO, I got to help and the general counsel broker these deals with organizations across the country to say, okay, how are we going to come together? What is the common goal? How are we going to get it done? What are the milestones? What are the outcomes that we're going to obtain and when, right? So just structuring the deal and always looking at how we can improve efficiencies and effectiveness. So trying to take a macro holistic perspective and say, okay, what are the different levers? What's coming in, what's coming out, and why? And then the part that I loved was the chief talent officer, because to me, you need the right people in the right places, and people are policy, right? And so I've loved so much diving into this new role as commissioner because I've been able to assemble this fantastic senior leadership team that reflects this can-do, solutions-oriented, we work for the people spirit. So those 8 years in philanthropy where I got to wear multiple hats are going to come in, I believe, very handy for the next, this next chapter as commissioner.
Absolutely. And it makes me think, when I was budget director, that was my first role at the county before Director Ramos took over, we actually found a few people who had worked in the grant-making space who brought that mentality you were mentioning in terms of looking at outcomes and efficiency, which, is a really useful ingredient in trying to build an outcomes-driven budget. So they've done great here and are still contributing in a big way. And I know this week was your first commissioner's court, or at least first one sitting at the dais. What was that like?
Well, I loved it. I mean, I'm just so grateful that people have given me the opportunity to serve. And it was wonderful to be there, especially, getting to vote on the climate action plan, which as a mother of 3 young kids,
Right.
I feel it's incumbent, and there's a sense of urgency we all need to have, especially with everything we've experienced with Harvey and Uri and all of the events, and there's more to come. And so we need to be leading. And so I was so proud to cast a vote for the climate action plan, because I believe that here in Harris County, we're a global leader in the energy space, and we're going to continue to be a leader in the alternative energy and the resiliency. I was also so proud to cast a vote for the worker safety contractor plan, because I believe that we need to make sure we're respecting the rights and the safety of all of our workers, and it's pro-worker and it's pro-business, right? We don't lose days in productivity and just medical costs, right? If we're keeping our workers safe. And again, we're building the Harris County for the future. And so getting to be a part of these kind of future ready, let's keep driving forward plans. I'm really, really grateful. And I also felt bringing my part of another chapter, which was I'm pointing at the courthouse a block away, that I was one of the civil court judges here in Harris County. So trying to bring that judicial temperament to commissioner's court meets this kind of outcomes, solutions-oriented COO side of me, meets my love of building teams. I'm also an executive coach as part of my chief talent officer. So how do you build cohesive, effective teams? And so I really think that as commissioner, getting to analyze these opportunities and what will really benefit the people of Harris County will be a great combination. But at the end of the day, being a mom is the thing that moves me most in life, because I deeply believe we have a moral obligation to leave our community better for our kids and our grandkids. So I'm really excited to work with you and your team. I know we share a commitment to making sure that we're being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and making sure we're looking at the outcomes and how do we move government forward in a way that benefits the people in the community.
Well,
so I'm just thankful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support on those 2 initiatives you mentioned, and thank you so much for joining us. And really looking forward to supporting you in your work and your vision.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you and your team and all of our team across Harris County, because that's what it is. It's a team, and we need to keep doing the people's work and do it with the utmost integrity and excellence and keep moving forward. So
Fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you. And we'll talk to everyone soon.